Hey folks, let's talk more about the shadows, the CZ shadows, of course, versus the 2011s in terms of like the owner experience, like how much you're messing around with the gun to make it do the things you want to do. Put out a video saying like I think all up, and I'm painting with a broad brush here, I think 2011s are less bullshit than the shadows. I mean, I'm saying this as somebody who, well, I mean, I like the shadows. I've shot them a lot, have a bunch of them. Previously, I was on Tanfolio's team, which is a CZ75 clone. Shot those for a long time. And before that, I used a Beretta in competition, which is very, very similar in many respects to the CZ75s. Uh, that having been said, like that's my opinion. I think the 1911s or 2011s are like less nonsense or less bullshit all up. Not to say that there's zero, because I would say with 2011s there's less than you think, would be my opinion, and with the shadows there's more than you think. Like for example, I don't know anybody that shoots those things stock. Like mine sure aren't. I put on the reach reduction kit, change the hammer springs, change the recoil springs. I mean, you're changing all kinds of things to get the gun the way you want it, and I don't modify mine very aggressively. Um, Other guns, depending on the 2011, I'd be happy to shoot it without modification. Of course, spending a lot more money, so it's like, okay, well, let's get into your comments about it. All right. You're talking about how the Shadow 2 Extractor needs constant care and attention in this video. Yes. Meanwhile, in your video from a few months back, you talk about how the Shadow 2 can easily go 20,000 rounds without cleaning the extractor. Yes. Now that's contradictory. I understand that. All right. The difference is between a match gun and a gun I'm just shooting and don't care about. So if I have a Shadow 2 that's working, like, shoot it, it's running, like it's just a practice gun. Like I'm not accountable for what happens with that gun. I've had them go 20,000 rounds without an issue. Like that certainly can happen. I would even say like that would be my expectation. Probably 60% of the time if I take a new gun, shoot 500 through it, it's working. I mean a new Shadow, like shoot 500 through it, it's working. It will probably work for 20,000 rounds. Probably. Now, would I do that with a match gun? No. Right? Because I'm accountable for what happens. And that 20,000 rounds is going to be over the course of probably 2 seasons, maybe three of shooting, like 2 or 3 years. So I'm not going to let the gun sit for that much time. I'm going to be taking it apart, looking after it, checking the parts, blah, 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 and making sure that it works. That and like a 60% probability that if the gun will shoot without a malfunction, like that's just not high enough for me to trust it for a match, right? Especially because I'm very serious. I want to do well with it. All right. Next question. Can the Atlas go 20,000 rounds without cleaning? Maybe, but I wouldn't do it. Like I wouldn't do that because I might clog up the thing and break the extractor. When the shadows get clogged up, the extractor hook just like it gets, further off the rim of the case. Because the crud gets under it. Like I don't want to break the extractor on, well, not an Atlas, but any of the 2011s. And that's what guys would be bitching if I shot at 20,000 rounds. It didn't take the extractor out at all and broke it. Like I could see that being a problem. Now, have I shot a 2011 20,000 rounds without taking the extractor out? Yeah, well, it was a staccato. It wasn't an Atlas. Not, I mean, I would do that kind of stuff, but it's like, again, would I trust that for a match? Fuck no. Fuck no. I would not trust shooting an Atlas 20,000 rounds without taking the extractor out. However, that having been said, it's way easier to take the extractor out of a 2011 than it is to deal with an optic mounted Shadow 2. It's just easier and better. And the extractors tend to be like, more consistent. All right, you live long enough to see Ben become a boomer. I guess if I think like, yeah, the 2011's like less bullshit than the Shadows. Like, oh, that's a boomer opinion, I guess. 2011 is objectively better. This was proven years ago with the very scientific measurement of I like it mo better. I don't know. 2011 is the whole platform. Like, you can buy a shit one, you can buy a good one, you can do whatever you want with it. It's a whole thing. All right, I own a Cajun Gunworks Shadow 2. It's simply amazing, and it's half the price of a Staccato or Atlas. It's been super reliable. Parts and upgrades are very available. I'd agree on the build quality. Finish isn't the best. My front sight was milled out of spec. Had to send it back to Cajun Gunworks for repair for loose front sight. No further problems. I'd take it over my Staccato P every day of the week. Better trigger, flatter, faster shooting, and not having to manipulate the safeties and slide release with your offhand is a big plus in my opinion. Yeah, so that's many of the things I like about the Shadow 2. I think I probably shoot better short scores with a Shadow 2 than a Staccato P. Maybe. I don't know. It'd be pretty close. But yeah, that's a fair opinion. But again, like notice this guy's shooting a Cajunized Shadow 2, like blah blah blah, like it's really good. But at the end of the day, for these guys, it comes down to money. Like I don't like once you start Cajunizing the shadows, like I become a lot less interested in them. And this is just again, this is from years of seeing these guns where it's like I don't want to be fucking around changing the hammers, changing all this stuff to get the trigger to be marginally better. People get the hammer springs like right on the edge of reliability, so where they need soft primers to pop everything, or they'll say like, "No, my gun pops everything," and you're just like, "Yeah, okay." Like, and then I teach a lot, so I have people show up with these guns, and it is frequently the case that guys run them on the edge and the guns don't work that well. But they will all write comments like this. They'll be like, "Oh, my gun's like really good, like it runs like a top." And then when I actually see them in action, it's like they typically do not deliver like that. Now, that having been said, if you want to run a shadow right on the edge of reliability, that can be done. But that's something, again, like it takes care and attention. It's like, oh, we're going to, use soft primers. We're going to change the like super light hammer spring, change it before a big match. Plus up the extractor spring tension, blah, blah, blah. You can do all this stuff to make the gun like better. But again, like those guys put a lot into it. Like they pay a lot of attention to those guns typically. I recently shot a Staccato. If I'd spent 2,800 on that gun, I would have felt like an asshole. Fair enough. A lot of people don't like to spend money on guns. Shadow 2 gang. Yes, good. As someone with a CZ and haven't even seen the whole video, I will validate my purchase and say CZs are the best. It's like, yeah, I think, like, to be fair, I think for carry optics division in USPSA, the CZs are probably the tool for the job. It's like, however, like people have this idea like, oh, it's a production pistol. It's like, no, nobody is shooting those things stock. People fuck around with those things a lot. All right, this $1,300 mass production gun has lower QC than this $5,000 to $7,000 Atlas. Yeah, no shit. Well, sure, but I would say that $1,300 production gun has lower QC than like Glock, lower QC than Smith and Wesson, lower QC than Taurus. That's what I would say. Like, to be real with you, it's like worse quality control than most companies. Like, not as bad as Tanfolio. I think Tanfolio is worse than CZ. But yeah, the Shadow 2s there's tons of issues with those things. Are the 2011s better? Sure, they should be for the price difference. A better comparison would be is a 1300 Shadow and a ton of ammunition, range time practice, and good training better than a $5,000 to $7,000 Atlas for a new shooter? Well, maybe that's your question. All right, maybe your question is like, oh, I'm going to do this like this practical shooting thing, this competition thing, and I'm not really like worried too much about the price. I'm just going to get the thing to do the stuff. Should I get a 2011, which dominates in limited optics, or should I get a carry optics gun, which looks like a Shadow 2? And I'd be like, the Shadow 2s are more bullshit than you think. And probably the 2011s are a little bit less bullshit than you think, especially if you buy something really, really, really expensive. Admittedly, it's expensive, but it's like people have this idea like how do we put it this way? Not everybody's driven by the price of those two things. It's like, oh, I'm going to buy a car to race it. Should I buy this car or that car? And they race in different divisions. And I'm going to be paying the money to do the racing anyway. Like the price of the gun up front is not going to drive a lot of decision making for a lot of people. Comparing a 6K and 3K gun to a Shadow 2 is kind of crazy. Like, is it though? Because like I was saying, like that's kind of your choice, right? It's like, do I want to shoot in limited optics or carry optics for all you competition shooting nerds? It's like, is that crazy? I don't think so. I think I don't like I'm not as much of a price person as a lot of you guys. All right, I chased this rabbit hole for a few years, got out of USPSA for a year and a half, sold most of my high-end 2011s, A01, Tanfo, Stock 2, etc. Decided to get back into it a little this year and went with the Canic Rival. put a uncaptured guide rod in it, trigger shoe, better magwell. I shoot it just as good as I did any of the high-end guns and have less than a K in it. Yeah, yeah, that's totally, yeah, 100%. In my meaningless, limited optics A-class opinion, the gun means a lot less than 99% of the people at the match think it does. It needs to do a few things well, be reliable all the time, be accurate enough to hit the A zone, that's it. Almost all the pistols made these days will do both. Yeah, I mean, it's it's not going to be the gun determining your outcome at a match. If you go to a match and you shoot like, oh, I'm an A class and I shoot 70% or 75% in a big match, it's like a different gun is not going to change the game for you one way or the other. I mean, I think that's just sort of obvious. Here we go. Here's another one. Super strange. I run a Shadow 2 for carry optics. CGW Pro trigger kit, springs are 12-pound recoil, an 11.5 hammer mainspring, everything else, extended safety, grips, etc. I've only had one malfunction ever, and that's when I went too low on the recoil springs. But that's a user error. The extractor is only an issue if you don't clean it. I don't know about that. By cleaning it, I don't mean removing the optic every time. No way. I just deep scrub and scrape the extractor of any built-up carbon, and it's fine. Well, no, you're not really cleaning it. There's still a lot of stuff under there. You can spray under there, but there's still going to be buildup. But on the upside, I don't really think it being dirty is not a huge issue. It takes a while for that to build up. Like being dirty is like, oh, I need to clean the extractor to keep the gun running. It's like, in my opinion, what you're describing is not really cleaning the extractor, but fortunately the gun's running anyway. I've pushed it to 2,000 rounds without cleaning, and when I took a few weekends off the matches to work on some technical training, also wanted to see if it would hold up that dirty. It worked just fine. Yeah, that's not that dirty as the guns go. I think guys treat the Shadow 2 like a Glock and simply overdo the springs. That simple. Yes, people do that. Yes, like they run the springs like the setup you're describing with the 11.5 pound hammer spring. Like I wouldn't run that. If you have that Cajun Gunworks, maybe Patriot Defense, if you have that horse shit in there, like I would get that the fuck out of my gun. Like, get me the Wolf, get me the 13 pound. Like it doesn't need to be lighter than that. I want the gun to work all the time. You know, like I don't like the way that you're describing your setup is like I don't like that stuff. Whereas like that's not making the gun better to me. Like I let them Cajuниze one of my, no, it wasn't done by Cajun, but I let one of my guns be Cajunized, and I do regret that. It doesn't make the guns that much better. It just makes more hassle. Oh, we have four stock 2s, three SPO1 Shadows, along with, oddly enough, 7 various 2011s. I've always found the 2011s and 9mm finicky, both the extractors and the magazines. On the other hand, the Shadows with the Cajun Blue Hammer Spring, 13.5 I think, and extended firing pin have been nothing but reliable when the ammo is loaded to the chamber dimension. That's another good one. Yeah, my Shadows are reamed, so that's not an issue for me because those chambers are fucking short on those things. CZ magazines are bulletproof. Yes, agreed. Yeah, so the 2011s and 9 are finicky, or at least they used to be. Like I would not have had this opinion years ago. Like 10 years ago, it would not be my opinion that the 2011s are less bullshit than the Shadows. But CZ turned the Shadow 2s into race guns, and people raced them out, so they made them, like in a sense, more nonsense. And the 2011s have improved substantially in that same time. So it's like my opinion on this has shifted around, of course. Let's keep going. I work as a gunsmith in Sweden. The pistols we work on are almost all IPSC pistols. The Shadow 2 is probably the single most popular pistol. I'm a Glock guy myself, but as far as the Shadows go, we don't see problems with them, period. When they do come in, the only problem we ever see is the customer strip the screw head for the optic screws, and that's just user error. 2011s, on the other hand, that's another story. They're much harder to work on since there's a lot of fitting and no real standards are adhered to. Add to that 2011 are uncommon in Swedish IPSC, and even then we will see more problems with them than the Shadows. Oh, well, all of the stuff is common here. Like, and also, we have Americans modifying their Shadows. Oh, $1,200 gun versus a $3,600 gun. Yeah, no shit, one is going to be better. Well, yeah, but again, neither of these guns is as good in this respect as like a Glock or M&P or PDP. Like those are way more trouble-free, like way easier. Like just so we're clear, like it's not really a money thing. It's like the way it's manufactured. What about the DWX? People don't give that many fucks about the DWX. I don't really like them that much. It gets kind of weird. It's like it's it's not interesting enough to me that I would get one to piss around with it. The mainspring, the hammer spring on a hammer gun doubles as a recoil delayer similar to rollers on the MP5. What's funny is a lot of people who take your money to work on your CZ are ignorant of this fact. They'll happily make the hammer as light as possible, only limiting themselves to reliably igniting the primers. Yeah, and they'll do like extended firing pin, um, and the lightest hammer spring they can put in there just to get the number, the trigger pull weight as low as possible. A lot of people do that. There was one guy killed in a USPSA match, I should say, by a dropped shadow that was not drop safe set up this way. So it's like I don't really love setting up the gun that way, and I agree. It doesn't make it recoil better to like make the hammer spring super light. Um, let's see if there's anything else. 50, 60K through 3 Shadow 2s, love them all, no problems. No extractor problems, and I don't pay attention to it. CZ Parts has an optic plate with a cut at the extractor area. Yes, that's a thing you can get. Don't know if it makes a difference or not. Yeah, if you want to knock out the pin and put a new extractor in, yeah, it's nice. I use a bunch of springs and such from Cajun Gunworks. They know the Shadow better than the CZ does, in my humble opinion. I do not agree with that. The only things you need to pay attention to is that it hates long ammo. Yes, it does hate long ammo. It likes short ammo. Like again, I reamed mine so this would not be an issue. You need to replace the slide stop at 25 to 30K rounds. No, you don't have to. Like that was true with the shadows. The Shadow 2s, their slide stops hold up a lot better. In a match gun, changing it prophylactically like that, that's fine. I would just take the one from like put a new one in the match gun, take the match gun and put it into a practice gun when the practice gun one breaks. But I've seen them run, they run way longer than they used to, like way longer. People used to fucking break those things all the time, but it's like they made them better. The extractor on the Shadow 2 requires constant care and attention. If this is true, I've been neglecting my Shadow 2 extractor. Yeah, I mean, I don't maintain mine, but I'm not shooting them in matches, and I don't care about them. It's like I have one of my 4 optic guns. Like one of them is like the God gun, like it never jams, doesn't matter how dirty it is. 2 of them are like work the way I would expect them to work, and then one of them's a lemon, where like no matter what I do, I can't make it run. Like that's about what I would say. Um, yeah, I would pay attention to the extractor if I was interested in winning matches with the gun. A memo every CZ75 derivative owner has never gotten apparently. Here I was thinking a spare slide stop and trigger return spring were the most likely failure points. Trigger return spring, they don't like on the Shadow 2s, they don't break all the time. They used to break way more. I used to go through one a month on my Beretta, which was like very similar system. But they've got them better. I would have a spare trigger return spring, a spare slide stop too, but I would also keep a spare extractor and the heavy power extractor springs. I have must been doing it wrong with my Shadow 2s. On my practice gun, I haven't removed or cleaned the extractor in at least 10,000 rounds. It keeps chugging along just fine. That's good. Like I have a gun like that. I haven't taken the extractor out. But like, would I take that thing to a match and trust it to work? Fuck no. Experience has taught me don't do these things. Usually when I come here to comment that DWX is the answer, it's unrelated and annoying. It really does strike a good balance for those on the fence. Balance of what? I don't know. If you're somewhere between D and A class, don't worry about buying a gun beyond 3K. LOL. Get a Shadow 2 until you're pushing for Master. If you're somewhere between D and A class and you're using something like an Atlas, you're just a purple loot box. Okay, yeah, but you could buy any gun you want. Like it's not gonna matter. Like pushing for Master, you could do that with anything. Like you don't need to buy it at a certain time. To be fair, you could buy 2 Shadow 2s for the price of an entry 2011 and have one for practice and one for competition so you don't have to deal with the maintenance BS as much. Yeah, that's 100% what I would do. Like 100%. But like the QC on the Shadows is such that when I wanted 2 guns, I bought 4. And it's just the way it is. Like you guys, a lot of you guys are like, oh, mine's great. It's like it's perfect. It's like, okay, cool. Like I'm happy for you. But I'm just telling you, when I wanted 2, I bought 4. And that's kind of normal for me. Ugh. My Shadows set off rifle primer. So here we go. 99% with a 12-pound hammer spring and extended firing pin spring. It's like, okay, so it doesn't set off rifle primers. 99%'s not good enough. You know, like Jesus. Ugh. I would not, yeah, like I would not use that setup, bro, because it's not reliable. Yeah, that makes total sense. I shoot the Shadow. I put in most of the cage and guts. I kept the stock length firing pin and relatively heavy mainspring because I want a gun that goes off every time, and I don't want a gun that will definitely go off if dropped. So the end result is to get a short reset and crisp single action with the same old double action pull. I've shot double single forever though, so a double action pull is just how life is to me. It's like, yeah, I'm fine with the double action gun. I like them. I like shooting double guns, double action guns. Oh, let's keep going. See what you guys have to say. I love my XC, okay? I tried my buddy's Shadow 2, and while it's an amazing gun and it shoots incredibly well, I couldn't get around how hard manipulating the slide was, at least for me. I do have constant small pains in my hands and fingers, not enough to really be a problem. With most guns, the Shadow was uncomfortable, and ultimately the XC just agrees with my hands better. That's kind of a weird opinion. I mean, but okay. I mean, maybe if you have the factory, the 7-pound recoil spring in the XC, like that might explain the problems with the Shadow. The Shadow will run flawlessly when it's dry as a rock, unlike 99.9% of 2011s. Okay. Yeah, don't keep mine super wet and they should run. Hope so. The Shadow 2 doesn't need mag tuning and doesn't have hotspots like 2011. Yeah, it does need mag tuning though. If you're using it in carry optics, if you're smart, you're gonna get mags that like you pay close attention to them. Because if you're just using the factory magazines, I agree, they're fine. They're better than 2011 mags, right? They don't have that fucking like the annoying one round pops out of thing that 2011 mags do. But if you're shooting it in USPSA with 140 mil, yeah, you're tuning mags. Like you may not think of it that way, but you're definitely going to be accountable for making the mags hold all the ammo and like are they reloadable? You know, like how many rounds can you stuff in there exactly? Like what about the cycles on the springs? All that. Yeah, of course you're tuning mags. Like what are you talking about, bro? Um Good info. I myself am a CZ owner and I'm thinking about moving to a striker fired for just the same reasons you listed. Like, okay, yeah, I mean, the striker fired pistols are going to be simpler. But again, if you want to race it out and get it right on the edge, like you can make your striker fired pistol not work that well. I wouldn't recommend doing that, but yeah, you could definitely do that. USPSA production and carry optics division really need to be reworked to keep up with what's actually coming out of factories targeted for carry and duty use. Drop safe only, barrel no longer than 5 inches. Okay. All right, blah, blah. All right. Yeah, you want to change the vision rules? Like, probably. Like, the rules, I mean, they've got a situation now in USPSA, especially, where the divisions just don't really make sense. Like, individually, whatever. But if you look at it holistically, you're like, this is kind of weird. Hi, Ben. I always thought the Shadow 2, due to the fact that it's based on the CZ75, was far more reliable than the 1911 or 2011 platform. Also, didn't expect the Extractor was more finicky. Um, all right. Well, what about a confront between the two as a duty pistol? Like, no, I don't think the Shadow 2's extractors are more finicky. But I'll tell you what, when I have a Shadow that's not extracting, it's just like take out the extractor, put in a new one, and it's like hope it works. Hope it works. And it's like put it in there, shoot it, it's like, all right, it's working. Okay, good. Or it's like it's not just leaving them in the chamber, it's just stovepiping. Like maybe I'll put in the heavy power extractor spring. All right, there's little things you can do like that. But one thing that like I haven't seen this way with 2011s, it's like I'll have a Shadow it's not working. It's like put a new extractor in. It's like, and nothing. It's like, motherfucker. It's just like, it's all like the extractors aren't consistently enough manufactured. I think Tanfolio was worse with this back in the day. But yeah, there'll be guns where it's like, oh, it needs a new extractor, like it's not extracting, and you start changing, and it's like, it's still not working. Now what the fuck? Like, not so much going to be the issue with 2011s. If you just fit a new extractor, a hooking on there, it's like, yeah, okay. Hey, granted, it's a more expensive, complex part on a 2011, but it's like, it's not going to be like, let me put it this way. I had a lot of problems with those type of guns, like the shadows and Tanfolios, where it's like once they decide they're not extracting, it's just, it can be a bear to get an extractor that the gun likes. That can be an issue, and has been. The Berettas, I should say, always worked as advertised in my experience. Right, knock out the extractor spring, take the extractor out, or knock out the extractor pin, take the extractor out, take the spring out, clean it, new spring, new extractor, put the pin back in, and that fucker works. Like the Beretta, the QC is like way better, and like noticeably so. Mm-hmm. The 2011 is a superior platform, case closed. Okay. You don't want to run a series like NPK with half black car. You need a full chassis, purpose-built race car. Those who don't understand the comparison basically just saying, why not have the best tool for the job? Like, it's not really what I'm saying. It's not like, oh, the 2011 is a superior platform. No, okay, like, yeah, and there's a big range of them too. Like the Shadow 2s are not a platform. It's just a gun, right? If there was 8 different manufacturers making these things of various different grades, it would, I mean, that compare, you know what I mean? It's not like that. But I'm just saying, like, on balance, like the shadows are more nonsense than people think. Especially when you see the people in the comments here talking like, oh, the shadow, like they've got all these modifications they've done to it. They've done all this stuff. So the shadow is legislated into existence pretty much like 1911s were back in the day, since Cooper made sure every match required a 45. Well, sure. So they're making like the shadows, their double single trigger system, like that makes them sort of eligible for a USPSA carry optics. They're a steel frame gun. They're heavy. They're not, I don't think they're super high quality, but it has the feature set that people want, and there's aftermarket support. So it's kind of like become the thing, like the tool for the job for USPSA type of stuff. And that's just kind of, yeah, that's kind of the way it is. You could say that's legislated in, and it's probably because they, like, again, they have the double single, so they need to have that to make them eligible for that division in USPSA. Yeah, you could say that. How about Tanfolios, Ben? Are they better than Shadows 2? No, I'd say they're worse in terms of QC. Like in my experience, they've been worse. Now, this is going back a few years. Uh, I haven't looked at their new stuff. Like Tanfolio's done a pretty good job of making themselves irrelevant. But I think like Tanfolio had like even spottier QC. There's some advantages as far as the way their stuff's manufactured that, in my opinion, was better. Like for example, the slide stops on the shadows would just break. Eventually, they get to a point where they break. On the Tanfolios, I never broke one. Never. It was two-piece part, so it's like the part that your thumb interacts with and the pin, like that was actually 2 pieces. So that would get loose and start to wiggle and be like, oh, this fucker's gonna break. I can just change it. Like for example, so there's some advantages to the Tanfolios, but as far as build quality and quality control, I think a step down from CZ. Um, Hey Ben, any thoughts on the Siley red dots yet? Yeah, I haven't broken mine. Like they seem fine. uh, let's see what else is. Interesting take. Granted, I own 2 shadows, so it's a sample of 2. It is a hassle to get the extractor out. Yes. I do it once a year, say every 20,000 rounds. Haven't had an issue with them so far. The extractor's not even that dirty when I take it out. I bet it could go until 40K. I do shoot my own reloads and use powder that I perceive to burn very cleanly. Okay. Anyway, serious competitors will own more than one gun, so I actually shoot more like 3,000 rounds with my competition guns and abuse the practice one. Yeah, yeah, that's a good idea. That's what you should do. I recommend that strongly. What level of shooter do you think the gun actually starts making a difference? Uh, it's going to matter way more the less skill you have. It'll matter way more to you. Like as you get better, it makes less of a difference. Now, as far as like competitively compared to other people, like I don't know, like it, it you'd have to be like pretty good before I'd be like, oh man, a new gun. That's going to be what puts you over the top, and you'll start winning. You know what I mean? Like that you'd have to be really good before that would happen. Your views regarding Shadow 2 versus a 2011 pistol is insightful. The slight disconnect comparing the Shadow 2 to a 2011 is that the Shadow 2 could be used in carry optics, but the 2011s automatically force you to shoot in limited optics. I don't, that's not a, like, who cares? Like, you understand, most people don't give a fuck. Like, if they want to go shoot a match or whatever, it's like they're going to pick between those two things, and it's like, oh, whatever. What about the Shadow 2 versus the PDP 5-inch steel frame? I think the PDP has probably got better quality, but you have to be diligent, in my experience, keeping the steel frame PDPs wet. The shadows don't need it as much, but yeah, in a match, like shooting the PDP would be probably better in terms of user friendliness and reliability. Just make sure you keep it wet, and it should run. Do you prefer the Shadow over the stock 2? I don't know anymore, honestly. I haven't fucked around with the new stock 2s in so long. But the game changer for me was the reach reduction kit on the Shadows. It's like that takes it from a gun that's like, this is uncomfortable, the trigger reach sucks, like I don't really like it, to making it very comfortable and very shootable for me. And that reach reduction kit makes the trigger feel a lot more like a Tanfolio. Like I always preferred the frame fit on the Tanfolios. For whatever other issues there are with the guns, I've always preferred that. Um, let's see what else we got here. 2011 makes you even more gay than owning a CZ, so that's impressive. Cool. You can't compare a $1,200 Shadow 2 to a custom Atlas. Well, yeah, I just did. What now? Oh my god. I feel like the Shadow 2 is the Ford Focus of competition steel frames. Like it is less than most, pretty reliable, does the job. The one thing I feel was overlooked is that a $1,300 2011 is going to be less reliable than a Shadow 2. Like I don't know about that either. Like I really don't know about that. Like I've shot some like pretty low dollar ones recently where it was like this thing is shooting okay, and then the guy's like, "Oh, it's reliable, I swear." I'm kind of looking like, is it though? Like I've seen that like you could get a Prodigy and then just be fucking around trying to keep the optics screwed on. Like probably that'd be the case. I think maybe the other ones would be better. I don't know. If you have a Ferrari Atlas money, why are you buying a Ford Focus and trying to claim it's just as good? If you only spend $2,000 on a gun and mags, I think you'd be hard pressed to find a better steel frame gun. Like I don't know. I don't know why people do these things. Let's see what else we got. Yet another polarizing discussion. It seems to me that people love or hate certain platforms, and the Shadow is one. I was picking a controversial item at a garage sale discount bin. I totally run it till I can't not tweak it. No, I mean I'm not a Shadow hater at all. Like I like the guns. Again, I think people spend a lot of time messing with them, or they get them like they're like the way they actually shoot in matches is like pretty much on the edge of reliability, I would say in many cases. And then it's just like, and people, then the same people be like, oh, those 2011s those are a ton of hassle. And you're just kind of like, are they? I mean, I guess like if you bought a 2011 and did the same things, like trying to get the trigger like literally as light as you can, and you're changing a bunch of parts, like yeah, I guess you could have a lot of problems, or you could just not have as many issues if you wanted. Ben, would you say your Elite Series Bred has been more reliable and less maintenance than either the Shadow, Tanfo, and 2011 platform guns? Yes, I would. I would actually. Looking for something I can use for multiple disciplines, and the Bred is very appealing as I can swap top ends. Yeah, okay, I don't care about that. That my experience with the Berettas was pretty positive. Um, it was years of shooting them before I even learned you had to take the extractors out. I didn't have any real serious problems with them. I just would, I shot the guns a lot. I would say the guns to me, like they were very, very reliable. And it's like if the gun's not working, there is a specific reason. Like there's something happening. Like if it's stovepipes, like it's not doing that for no reason. Something's up. And that sort of stuff would be infrequent. So I would say the Berettas definitely are better. Now this is the old Berettas. The new ones, like the 92Xs, I think are not good. I've seen extractor issues. I've seen guys like fucking up barrels, stuff like that. I wouldn't think the 92X would be as good. The ergonomics on it would make me not care enough to even check, if you know what I mean. But yes, the Berettas that I shot were quite good. Um, Shadow 2 versus PDP steel frame would be a better comparison. Okay. I think the PDPs are less nonsense than the Shadows. Because you would just buy that hoe and shoot it, right? Like the trigger's sick that's in there. Maybe you change the recoil spring and then shoot it. It'll probably be less problems. The only real breakages or issues I've seen on the PDPs, like I think one or two guys I know have broken the strikers. But that took a minute. That took them a while to do. Kind of wild that you can shoot a shadow that nobody carries and carry optics, whereas a comped 19 with a light and magwell is just not allowed. Like, yeah, it's weird, man. The rules are weird. The obvious elephant in the room, nobody is cross-shopping a Shadow 2 and an Atlas. I wouldn't be so sure about that. I heard from a couple of my guys in that demographic when I dropped the video, and they're like, yeah, I totally agree with you. But that's a specific demographic. That guy's like, they want to do competitive shooting. That's what they want to do. It is what it is. Like they're like, I'll shoot like the best gun. And to my perception, I will shoot the best gun in the division. Like I will shoot a shadow, and it's like, oh, over here limited. Like I'll shoot a 2011 over here, and they agree with what I'm saying. As far as like actually doing USPSA, trying to do it at a high level, you know, all of this stuff that involves. All right. Anyway, that being said, my best friend has several staccatos and an Athena, and I've been lucky to shoot all of them frequently. They're absolutely by far and away better firearms, but with a reasonable higher expectation. The staccato feels twice as nice as my Shadow 2 at double the cost, but a Gerson Witness feels worse at twice the cost versus my P10. Okay? The Athena does feel 10 to 15% better than the P, but for double the cost. I don't know if that pays dividends. Like, I don't know where you get these percentages from, dude, but that's fine. Uh, okay. Curious comparing basic Shadow to 4 to 7K 2011s. Why? Why is that? I mean, why? That's just Shadow 2 has become a hassle if one plays Icarus, not much besides. Yes, you're flying way too close to the sun. And this is what so many people do. Yes, if you just have trigger return springs and slide stops and like try not to fuck with it too much, it should be better. The 2011s have been immensely fickle until maybe the last 10 years. So true. The 2011s have gotten better. They're fine now, slightly more maintenance. hmm hmm Yeah, I would agree the 2011s have improved substantially. Less bullshit with a 2011 than a Shadow 2. Okay, blanket statement that sounds good as a soundbite, but there's a lot more to it. Yeah, it's called clickbait, bro. Different bullshit with the 2011. Atlas Gunworks admits that. They have a lot of very helpful videos on how to properly tune and maintain your 2011 if you want to avoid the BS that comes with them. Okay, sure. Counterpoint to that, I've watched none of their videos. None. But mine are fine. Like what you don't need to. I mean, it's not that much of a deal to maintain the 2011s. You can do it, but it's still regular work. As Ben points out, much of the BS that comes with shadows comes from trying to get the trigger as light as possible. Yes, it is. Yes, and that's why it's like the comments on here is like when you have guys talking about how great their shadows are. It's not like the first time I've had that conversation, but usually when I have these conversations, they're like guys show up at classes and they're actually shooting the gun, right? And then it'll be like, oh, it's this and this, and like my gun's been perfect or whatever. And then I watch them and it's like, nope, your shit doesn't work. Your shit doesn't work. Like Or, I mean, and this was a very frequent thing, especially back in the days when Tanfolio was relevant and a lot of people were shooting Tanfolios. I think I went 2 years, and I'm not exaggerating, it's like 2 years. Every single class, I would like pick up a guy, I would see a guy with a raced out Tanfolio, like pick it up, like play with the strings, and I'd be like, I don't think this is gonna work. And the guy's like, no, no, it's been 100%, it's, whatever. And it's just like, I don't think this will run, not over time. And then, sure enough, I'm gonna watch him shoot like 1,000 rounds over the next couple days. I'm like, sure enough, like, oh, it doesn't work. Like, shocking. So it's like a lot of guys are just like deluded about this stuff, and they're like they no, like the Shadow 2 is like, oh, I just get it and I Cajuниze it, I do this and that, and now it's just as good as that. And it's like, okay, if you say so, buddy. Um, let's see what else we got. CZ Shadow is a far better gun than any 2011, not even close. Okay. A better comparison is the TAC Sport 2 versus the 2011. People tend to think the 2011 is mythical, but the CZ is just as good, in my opinion. I think that's a stupid opinion, but you can have that. That's fine. The proof is in the pudding. CZ dominates the divisions 2011s can't shoot in. Yeah. 2011s dominate divisions both can be in. CZ Bros can talk, Cajun Custom, Black. Okay, yeah, that's true. But I'm not really just talking about like the shooting dynamics. I'm not really talking about that at all. As far as like the amount of like bullshit maintenance issues you're going to have with the guns. I mean, if you're shooting in open, shooting major, like you're going to have a lot more issues. Like I don't care what gun you're using. Like just pushing more powder through the gun, heavier ammunition, there's going to be more problems. It's kind of like that. Well, fuck, this changes everything because I've been looking at getting a Shadow 2 for USPSA and not a 2011 because the grip safety and beaver tail irritate my XL hands um, during dry fire. Now what? We'll just get the Shadow 2. Like, if you like the Shadow 2, get the Shadow 2. The advice I would give you is like the guys talking about, like, oh, do all these modifications, change this and that. Like, I would probably tune those guys out. Like, just like, don't go heavy on the mods. Like, run the gun, not stock, but like more or less, like, and like deal with the issues that come. Like, if you don't like, it is sometimes irritating to have to do maintenance or fix something or whatever on one of my guns. That is sometimes irritating. But if the gun doesn't fit you and it's going to irritate you every practice session, don't buy that gun. Get a different gun. Irrespective of what people on YouTube say, just get something else. Two different guns I've had to send back to CZ for obvious out-of-the-box QC fails. The failures were annoying, but the poor customer service of CZ USA was icing on the cake. Yeah, it's shit. It's a shit show over there, man. That's another, I mean, kind of a problem for another thing. Remember, the CZ Shadow 2 is not drop safe, like actually, and has killed a range safety offer because of it, kind of like the P320. No, it's not like, no, that gun was modified, right? The Shadow 2s in their factory condition, I don't know that I would classify them as drop safe, but they're far more drop safe than the, extendo firing pin, light firing pin return spring type of situation that you can get going on if you want. The Shadow 2 and the SIG P320 are the most used guns at USPSA competitions. It's funny that Ben is too frightened and internet brain to admit that. Okay. I can't admit the many virtues of the Shadows and the 320s. Ben, I'd like you to compare the build quality of a $1,200 Shadow to a $1,200 2011, like a Turcado or a Prodigy. Like the Prodigy, I wouldn't fuck with. Like, I mean, I'll get one maybe for the channel and shoot it, but like in real life, Like I wouldn't mess with that thing. Like I just think it's a bag of ass, really. Um, sure. A Cajun Eye Shadow will still come in almost 1K cheaper than a Staccato. Yes, it will. But that's not really what I'm talking about. Like that's what you guys are obsessed with is the price of the thing. I have almost 30,000 rounds on my Cajun Tune Shadow, and with minimal yearly spring maintenance, I really haven't done much or seen anything break except for my slide stop, which is a known wear part I never replace. I totally agree that the gun can yield itself to people wanting to tinker and mess it up, though. Yeah, I mean, you've had a good experience relatively, it sounds like. That's good. I'm happy for you. All right. Well, very interesting discussion, boys. I think we'll leave it there. Any more questions, comments, stuff like that, put them down below.